Hello, folks. This is Tom Martin. This is my lottery strategy game, Decoding the Powerball guessing game. I'm picking my numbers for the drawing on May 2nd, 2018. If you want to play my game, Decoding the Powerball, to help assist you in picking your own numbers, then please go to my website at www.patreon.com/decoding the Powerball. I have 7 strategies with my game, Decoding the Powerball. So strategy number 1, the game card color code. Okay, so if you've never seen my videos before, why I make them is to show you on how to use my game. Okay, so what you're looking at here is what I call the game card. This represents all 69 white ball numbers in the Powerball lottery. I really don't have anything for the Powerball itself. My goal is to get all 5 white balls correct and win the $2 million prize with the Power Play option. Okay, so first things first is I'm going to go to the Powerball homepage, and the 5 white winning numbers that just came up were the 20, 22, 28, 45, and 50. Again, I really don't care about the red ball. Okay, so what I do is I take those 5 white winning numbers, and I put it at the top of this list, and then I take the last 3 drawings of numbers, and I transfer these numbers over to the game card as red numbers. Then I'll do the same thing with the orange area, the green, the blue, and the purple. I have 5 different colors, one to represent each one of the 5 white winning Powerball numbers. So for this drawing here, I have 14 red numbers, 13 orange, 14 green, 18 blue, and 10 purple. And the number of colors change with every single drawing. Okay, so over to the right, there's 223. This tells me how many color code drawings I kept track of so far. And again, these are the color code drawings, okay? So out of this 223 drawings, 117 drawings have come up a 3-color combination. 80 drawings have come up a 4-color combination. 21 drawings have come up a 2-color combination. And only 6 times out of 223 drawings have all 5 colors come up together. And never has it been just one color. Okay, so this number 4 right here, this tells me how many colors just came up in the last drawing. So you can see that there was an orange, 2 green, a purple, and a red for 4 colors total. Okay, so how I use this game is I tried to correctly guess what the next number here is going to be. Okay, so more than half the time, it does come up a 3-color combination. Okay, so the overall strategy is try to reduce the numbers. Okay, so as I see it, again, there's 69 white ball numbers total. Okay, only 5 numbers can come up as winners. So that means 64 numbers can't come up at all. Okay, so for me, I just think it should be easier to pick the numbers that won't be coming up than the 5 that actually do. Okay, and to help me do that, I'm going to turn to how all 5 colors hardly ever come up together. Okay, so the strategy is try to guess which one of these colors won't be coming up and eliminate that group of numbers off of the game card. Okay, so for this drawing here, I'm going to guess that no orange numbers will be coming up. And the reason why is because an orange number has hit in the last 6 drawings here. Okay, so I just kind of think that it's due to miss. Okay, so you can see that right here. You can see that this is what a miss looks like. You can see that there's no orange numbers there. Okay, so I think that that's going to happen again. So I'm going to eliminate all the orange numbers off of the game card. Okay, so to speed things up, I'm going to scroll to the right. And this is what the game card looks like so far with no orange numbers to it. Okay, so what I'm doing here is when I block out a number like this means that I'm not even going to consider this number when I'm picking what I think will be the 5 white winning Powerball numbers. Okay, so also what I'm doing is I'm spending $3 on a Powerball ticket, which includes the Power Play. Okay, so in other words, I'm betting $3 that none of these orange numbers will come up. Okay, so if I'm correct with my bet, and none of these orange numbers come up, then I'm one step closer to that $2 million prize. Okay, so I'm off to the next strategy. And that's strategy number 2, the individual numbers. Okay, so what you're looking at here is what I call the individual numbers, okay? And how this works is up at the very top is the master for each individual number, okay? And over here to the right are the numbers that just came up in the lottery. Again, it was the 20, 22, 28, 45, and the 50. Okay, so that turns out to be a 3-group combination. Okay, so I'm going to reduce this down so you can see the whole card and see what I'm talking about here. Okay, so what you're going to see is that there's 7 groups total. Okay, so group number 1 holds the numbers of 1 through 9, and then it's the teens, 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s. Again, for 7 groups total. Okay, so there's only 5 white winning Powerball numbers. Okay, so that means that 2 of these groups won't be able to have a winning Powerball number to it. Okay, so the strategy is try to guess which one of these groups won't have the winning Powerball number to it and eliminate that group of numbers off of the game card. Okay, so how I use this, and I use this a couple of different ways here. Okay, so this big square right here, okay, this is good for 5 drawings. And I like to break things down into 5 because as I go through the history of things, it's much easier to count going 5, 10, 15, 20, and so on. Okay? But also, I look at this, and if there's a lot of hits within these 5 drawings for the certain group of numbers, then maybe there won't be so many hits in the next 5 drawings, or vice versa. Okay, so again, the overall strategy is to reduce the numbers, okay? So looking at this, the average for all these group of 5 drawings is like 3 hits, okay? So I see that the 60s already have 3 hits, and as I go back into time, I can see that there was 4 hits in the last 5 drawings, 4 hits, and 5 hits, 4 hits, okay? So I just think that it's due to have 3 hits, so I don't think there's going to be any more hits here in the 60 areas for the next 3 drawings here, okay? Or for the next 2 drawings, I should say, okay? So again, I don't think any 60 numbers will be coming up, so I'm going to eliminate the 60 numbers off of the game card. Okay, so another way that I could use this is I could just highlight like the 54 here, and I could go down and see what colors have come up in that 54 area, okay? So I see that there's been a couple orange, a green, and a blue, okay? So I haven't seen any reds here in a little bit, so I'm thinking that this could possibly be a red number coming up, okay? So I'm gonna blow this thing back up. And another way I use this is I try to correctly guess how many groups are going to come up. Okay, so most of the time, a 4 comes up. A 4-group combination comes up. Okay, and a 3-group combination is very close behind. Okay, so as I go down through the history of things, you can see that there's a lot of 4s and a lot of 3s. Okay. And once in a while, a 5 will pop up, okay? And once in a blue moon, a 2 will pop up, okay? But for the majority of the time, it's either a 4 or a 3, okay? So for this drawing here, I think that it's going to be a 4, okay? So I'm going to go back to the game card. And again, I don't believe that any 60 numbers will be coming up. So I'm going to eliminate the 60 numbers off of the game card. Okay, so if no 60 numbers do come up, then I'm another step closer to that $2 million prize. Okay, so I'm off to the next strategy. And that's strategy number 3, picking the numbers I hope will miss from group 1. Okay, so what you're looking at here is what I call my group 1 numbers, okay? So basically what I did is I divided all 69 numbers into 4 different groups, and I put colors to these groups, okay? So when the 5 white winning Powerball numbers come up, I record where they land within these groups down here in the stats. Okay? So of course this stands for the red area, the blue, the orange, and the green. Okay? So I'm going to go back to the Powerball homepage, and again, the 5 white winning numbers that just came up were the 20, 22, 28, 45, and 50. Okay, so the 20 here is in the red area, okay? The 28 is in the red area. The 22 is in the blue. The 45 is in the green, and the 50 is in the orange, okay? So it hit all 4 colors. Okay, so when that happens, I call that a row, okay? So as I go back into the history of things, you can see where the rows are, okay? So sometimes these rows double up, okay? So if I think that this is due to have a row, then that means when I'm picking what I think will be the 5 white winning Powerball numbers, I want it to represent all 4 colors here. Okay, so I'm going to move on to option card number 2, and I have 15 of these option cards. Okay, so again, the 20 and 28 are in the blue. The 22 and the 45 are in the orange. And the 50 is in the red. Okay, so as I go down here, you can see this 1 represents that 50. The 2 in the blue area represents the 20 and 28. And the 2 in the orange area represent the 22 and the 45. Okay, so you can see the 0 means that none of these green numbers were hit. Okay, so the strategy is try to guess where these zeros are going to pop up. Okay, so if I could have correctly guessed that none of these green numbers were going to come up in the last drawing, I could have eliminated all these green numbers and really gave myself a much better chance at picking the correct 5 white winning Powerball numbers. Okay, so again, I have 15 of these option cards. And the reason why I have so many is because I want as many options as possible to pick where these zeros are going to come up. Okay? So my first pick here is going to be option card number 5, no green numbers. And the reason why is because one of these green numbers here have hit in the last 26 drawings. Okay, so I'll show you what that looks like. Okay. So I just think that it's due to miss. Okay. So I don't believe that any of these green numbers are going to come up. So I think there's going to be a 0 right here. Okay. And again, if that happens, then that means that none of these green numbers will be coming up in the drawing. Okay. So again, I think that's what's going to happen. So I'm going to eliminate all these green numbers through the game card. Okay. So I'm going to go back to the game card here. I'm going to scroll to the right. Okay, you can see underneath group 1, option card number 5, no green numbers. Okay, so another way that this is how this works is I want to point out these numbers on the side here of the game card. Okay, so as I go back to group 1, you can see that there's no numbers off here to the side. Okay, so what that means is this 69 right here, this shares the square with the 53. Okay, so what that means is that if I decide to get rid of this row right here, okay, then I'm going to get rid of the 53 and the 69 as a group. Okay, so you have to look at this as groups of numbers. Okay, so what I'm doing here is I'm dividing these numbers into different groups, and then I'm trying to predict whether these groups are going to come up or not come up in the drawing. Okay, so the reason why I don't have this 53 crammed in here with the 69 is because of the color code. Okay, so as I go back to the last drawing here, you can see that the 58 shares the square with the 68 here. Okay, so because of the color code, the 58 is purple and the 68 is blue. Okay, so again, if I wanted to get rid of all the purple numbers, I would get rid of the 58, but the 68 would still be in play. Okay, so that's how that works. Okay, so I'm going to go back. Okay, and I'm going to go back to group 1, and my next pick is option card number 7, no green numbers. Okay, so the reason why I'm picking this one, and we're all going to look at this a little bit differently, okay? So I may say, I don't think any green numbers are going to come up, and you may look at it and say, no, I don't think any orange numbers are going to come up, or any blue numbers, okay? But the reason why I'm picking this one is because when there's 3 rows in a row like this, okay, there's usually a miss, okay? And sometimes it happens after 2 rows like this, okay? The one that missed was the red area, all right? So for this green one, this 46 represents how many blue areas there are in this column here, okay? So there's a lot less blue areas in this green column than there is in the orange or the blue or even the red over here, okay? So I just think that things are kind of due to catch up, okay? So again, I think there's going to be a 0 right here. And that means that I don't believe that any of these green numbers are going to come up in the drawing, okay? So again, I want to get rid of them, and I'm going to get rid of them through the game card. Okay, so we're going to go back to the game card. I'm going to scroll to the right. And again, this is what the game card looks like so far. Okay, so again, if I made all the correct picks here, then I'm a couple steps closer to that $2 million prize. Okay, so I'm going to go back to group 1, and I have 2 more picks here. Okay, so my next pick is going to be option card number 9. Okay, no green numbers. Okay, so the reason why I'm picking this one is because you can see this single 0 here. Okay, now every once in a while these zeros, they double up. Okay, so you can see that here there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 single zeros in a row here. Okay, so I just kind of think that it's due to double up and have another 0 here, okay? So if that happens, then none of these green numbers will be coming up, so I hope that happens, okay? So I'm going to eliminate all these green numbers off of the game card. And again, because I don't think that they're going to come up in the drawing. Okay, so I'm going to scroll to the right. And this is what the game card looks like so far. Okay, so again, if I made all the correct picks and none of these numbers come up, which I said I don't believe are going to come up, okay, then that means that the 5 white winning Powerball numbers have to be within these numbers still left on the board. Okay, so I'm going to go back to group 1, and my last pick is going to be option card number 14, no blue numbers. Okay, so the reason why I'm picking this one is much of the same as the last card. There's a bunch of single zeros in a row here. And again, every once in a while they double or triple up. Okay, so I just kind of think that that's due to happen here. So I think there's going to be a 0 right here. And again, I don't believe that any of these blue numbers are going to come up in the drawing, so I want to get rid of them. And I'm going to get rid of them through the game card. Okay, so this is what the game card looks like so far. Okay, so I'm all done picking what I don't believe is going to come up in group 1. So I'm off to the next strategy. And that's strategy number 4, picking the numbers I hope will miss from group 2. Okay, so what you're looking at here is what I call my group 2 numbers. Okay, so much like group 1, where I divided things into 4 different groups, here I divided things into 8 different groups. Okay, so again, there's only 5 white winning Powerball numbers. Okay, so I know that 3 of these groups won't be able to have a winning Powerball number to it. Okay, so the strategy is is try to guess which one of these groups won't have the winning Powerball number to it and eliminate that group of numbers off of the game card. Okay, so I'm going to show you how I use this. All right, so much like group 1, where I used all the same colors for all these option cards, red, blue, orange, and green. Okay, I used the same colors here in group 2 as well. Okay, red, blue, orange, green, purple, brown, gray, yellow. Okay, so I have 15 of these option cards as well. Okay, so they all kind of look the same as far as the colors. Again, it's red, blue, orange, green, purple, brown, gray, yellow. It's just that the numbers that they represent are a little bit different from each other from each different option card. Okay, so how I use this is down here in the stats. This is for the red area. Okay, so you can see that one of these zeros means that none of the 5 white winning Powerball numbers landed in this red area. And this 2, of course, means that 2 out of the 5 white winning Powerball numbers landed in this red area. Okay, so how I do things here is I like to break things down into 5 drawings. Okay, so here you can see that there's 3 zeros and 2 hits. Okay, 3 misses and 2 hits. Okay, so the majority is misses. Okay, so when that happens, I color the background blue for cold. Okay, so when there's 3 or more hits, I color the background red for hot. Okay, now because the lottery is so random, I know that nothing can stay hot forever and nothing can stay cold forever. Okay, so when I think that something's going to become cold, then that's when these zeros are going to start popping up. Okay, so I think that's going to happen with this red area here. I think there's going to be a 0 right here. And again, that means that I don't believe that any of these red numbers are going to come up. So I'm going to eliminate these red numbers off of the game card. Okay, so the 65 and the 25 share this square. So I'm going to get rid of the 1, 9, 17, 25, 33, 41, 49, 57, and the 65 as a group. Okay, so as I go back to the game card here, I'm going to scroll down now. Okay, and this is what the game card looks like so far. So you can see group 2, option card number 1, no red numbers, and you can see that there's no red numbers here. Okay, so I'm going to go back to group 2, and my next pick is going to be option card number 6, no red numbers. Okay, so again, here's the stats for the red, and as I head down through, you can see that things got really, really hot to start. Okay. And then it got hot here as well, and now I think that things are going to cool off, okay? So now I just have to correctly guess when this thing is going to cool off, okay? When I think there's going to be some zeros here. So I think there's going to be a 0 right there, which means that I don't believe that any of these red numbers are going to come up in the drawing, okay? So I want to get rid of them, and I'm going to get rid of them through the game card. Okay, so here I am, group 2, option card number 6, no red numbers. And you can see that I'm whittling the numbers down step by step here. Okay, so I'm going to go back to group 2. And my next pick is going to be option card number 10, no yellow numbers. Okay, so here's the stats for the yellow. You can see that things got really, really hot. They started off really hot. Actually, they stayed pretty hot, and now I think that things are going to start cooling off. So I think there's going to be 2 zeros in a row to make this blue here. Okay, so that means that I don't believe that any of these yellow numbers are going to come up. So I'm going to eliminate whatever's left for these yellow numbers off of the game card. Okay, so you could read underneath group 2, option card number 10, no yellow numbers. Okay, so the yellow numbers are gone. Okay, so again, I started off with 69 white ball numbers. Okay, and now you can see that I'm down to 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 numbers. Okay, so again, if I made all the correct picks, and the key word here is if I made all the correct picks, and none of these numbers that I said weren't going to come up don't come up, then the 5-way winning Powerball numbers have to be within these numbers still left on the board. Okay? So to really pinpoint what numbers are going to come up, I'm going to turn to my next strategy. Okay, strategy number 5, the 50-50 picks. Okay, so what you're looking at here is what I call the 50-50 picks. Okay, so again, there's 5 white winning Powerball numbers, so there has to be a majority of either even numbers or odd numbers, or numbers to the high side or numbers to the low side. Okay, so I like to keep track of that and try to correctly guess what the majority will be for the upcoming drawing. Okay, so a couple years ago, I reduced the numbers down to 10 numbers, and the 5 white winning Powerball numbers landed within those 10 numbers. Okay, I only got 2 numbers correct that day, and that's where I really came up with this 50-50 picks here to help me pinpoint things a little bit better. Okay, so when that happened, that's kind of when I said to myself, gee, I think I'm really on to something here, because I gave myself a much better chance at winning a good prize. Okay, so how this works is that this 268 right here, this is how many drawings I kept track of so far, and that goes back to October 7th, 2015. That's when the Powerball lottery went from 59 numbers to 69 numbers, okay? And out of this 268 drawings, 135 drawings have been the majority of odd numbers. 133 drawings have been the majority of even numbers, okay? So here I like to break things down into 5 drawings, okay? And again, because it shows me a majority of things, okay? So out of this 5 drawings, the majority was odd numbers, 3 drawings to 2, okay? And before that, the majority was even numbers, 3 drawings to 2, okay? So I can keep on going back into the history of things, okay? And what I do is, this helps me make a guess, okay? And all this is geared up to help you make a guess, okay? Help you make a decision on what numbers are going to come up or not come up, okay? So for this drawing here, because there was 3 even numbers here, 3 drawings that the majority were even, I just think that the next drawing is going to be odd numbers, okay? So when I'm picking what I think would be the 5 white winning Powerball numbers, I want it to be at least 3 odd numbers to it, okay? So as I move over to the right here, the next thing is high and low. So the high numbers are in the red area, the low are in the blue. Okay, so you can see that the 65, 66, and 67 are here in the blue. When those numbers come up, I do record them as low numbers, okay? So it only matters how I record things, okay? So with this, I'm thinking that as I go back through the history of the drawings here, it's hard for me to guess what things are going to be, so I'm going to leave that one alone, okay? So I have a couple others to choose from, so I don't have to pick from every single one of them, okay? So with this one here, I see that there's a single red mark here, and as I go down through, you can see that there was 4 in a row, and then 3, okay, and then finally there's another single red mark here, okay? So I think that's going to happen here. I think that this is going to be a single red mark, so that means I think the majority of the numbers will be over here to the right side, okay? So as I scroll over to one more, I got this red and blue area, okay? So you can see that the red has had the majority for the last 7 drawings, okay? So I just think that it's due to have the majority to the blue area, okay? So again, when I'm picking what I think will be the 5 white winning Powerball numbers, I want the majority of the numbers to be in this blue area right here, okay? So one last thing that I have here is this is for the Powerball number itself. Again, this is for the red ball number, okay? I do have something for it. The last one was 8. Now there's 26 red ball numbers total. Okay, so if you're looking at this column here, if you see a blue number, that means that it's low, 1 to 13. If you see a red number, that means it's high, 14 to 26. And over in this column here, if you see a red number, then that means it's odds. And if you see a blue number, then that means it's evens. Okay, so what this does is it just helps me because I like to see the colors of things. So when I see something that's all red like this, I know it's going to be blue at some point. I just have to correctly guess when it's going to happen. Okay, so for this drawing here, I think that this is going to be a blue number, and I think that this is going to be a blue number. So that means I think the Powerball number will be a low even number. Okay, so as I go back to the game card here, I'm going to scroll over to the left, the 50-50 picks, and I'm going to scroll down, and again, I'm going to change out this high because I'm not sure about that. So again, I think the majority of the numbers are going to be odd numbers. I think the majority will be to the right side, and I think the majority of the numbers will be in this blue area here. Okay, so I'm off to the next strategy, and that's strategy number 6, picking the numbers I hope will hit from group 2. Okay, so I'm back at this group 2, and again, I have 15 of these option cards, and they all have the same colors as far as red, blue, orange, green, purple, brown, gray, yellow. And again, it's just the numbers that they represent are a little bit different from each other, from each different option card. Okay, so what I'm trying to say here is that there's 15 of these red areas, 15 of the blue areas, 15 of the orange, okay? So I like to keep track of that, and I call that my group 2 overview, okay? So I'm going to go to the group 2 overview right now. And this is what I call the group 2 overview. Okay, so how this works is right here. This is for the red areas. This is for the blue, orange, and green. Okay, so here you can see in the last drawing, out of the 15 option cards, over here on the left stands for hits, and over here on the right stands for misses. Okay, so there was 8 hits, 7 misses among those 15 option cards. Okay, so the magic number here is 8. If there's 8 or more hits, then I color the background red. If there's 8 or more misses, then I color the background blue for cold. Okay, red for hot, blue for cold. Okay, so now I just kind of look at the colors here. Okay, so when I see that thing's a lot of blue here, well, eventually it's going to turn red. Again, I just have to correctly guess when that's going to happen. Okay, so as I go back to the game card here, I'm going to scroll over to the right, and it says, I think there's going to be lots of hits among the blue, orange, and brown areas of group 2. Okay, so what this means is, here in the yellow, this 1 down to the 15, this represents the option cards. Okay, so as I go back to group 2 here, option card number 1 in the blue area is the 2 down to the 68. Okay, so as I go back to the game card here, the 2 down to the 68, the only thing that's left is the 50. So I wrote the 50 down right here in the blue section. Okay, the orange is right here from the 3 down to the 59, and the only one left is the 43, so I wrote that down over here. And here's the brown area, so the only thing that's left is the 22 and the 54, and you can see that I wrote those over here in the brown area. Okay, so that's how that works. So I did that with all 15 option cards, and these are the numbers that I came up with. Okay, so I'm off to the final strategy, strategy number 7, picking my numbers. Okay, so the numbers that I'm going to go with for this drawing are the 21, 37, 43, 50, and 54. Okay, so with this combination of numbers, this will give me 11 hits, 4 misses in that blue area, 9 hits, 6 misses in that orange area, and 8 hits, 7 misses in that brown area. Okay, so as I go back to the Group 2 overview here, okay, so I think that this is going to be an 11 and 4. And I'm just going to color this up so I can give you a visual of things here. Okay, so that's what I think it's going to look like because there was more than 8 hits. Okay, this gets colored red. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the game card. And again, with the 50-50 picks, again, I thought there was going to be more odd numbers than even. So you can see that the 21, 37, and 43 are all odd. And then the 50 and 54 are even, of course. Okay, but that will give me the majority of odd numbers. Okay, and I also thought that the majority will be to the right side. Okay, so you can see that the 54, 37, and 21 are all to the right side. Okay, and I thought that the majority would be to that blue area. So you can see that the 21, 43, and 50 will give me the majority in that blue area as well. Okay, so that's how I use my game. Okay, so I know it's a little complicated at first, but once you play it a couple times, you'll get the hang of it real quick. Okay, so again, the numbers I'm going to go with is the 21, 37, 43, 50, and 54. Okay, folks, again, if you're interested in using my game, then please go to my website at www.patreon.com/Decoding the Powerball. And if you'd like to send me any feedback, then please email me at decodingpowerball@gmail.com. Again, that's just decodingpowerball@gmail.com. All right, folks, I appreciate you watching. If you like the content of my channel, then please subscribe, okay? And as always, I like to wish everybody the best of luck with your picks.